The government's considering sanctioning every individual involved in the trial of anti-Putin political activist Vladimir Kara-Murza.
Yes, the Russian-British dual national was sentenced yesterday to 25 years for criticising the war in Ukraine.
Now, this comes as opposition figure Alexei Navalny remains seriously ill in prison, with aides saying his condition is worsening.
Well, joining us now is the Russian opposition politician and ally of Alexei Navalny, Vladimir Ashurkov. Good morning to you. Terribly sorry to hear about the state of your colleague and friend Alexei Navalny, and we will talk about him in just a moment. But I do want to start with the huge news yesterday about Vladimir Kara-Murza, a British citizen, went to Cambridge, who's been given this terrible sentence, unprecedented sentence, just for speaking out against Putin's actions in Ukraine. 25 years.
Indeed, it is unprecedented sentence for politically motivated verdict in Russia. Mr. Kara-Murza is both a Russian citizen and British citizen. And as you said, the British government considering sanctioning everybody involved in his persecution is morally and politically the right step.
He also suffers with some disabilities, I believe. How do you think he's going to be treated in prison? I mean, there must be serious concerns, not least given the way Navalny's been suffering in prison for some time now.
It's important to note that these disabilities are largely the result of two poisoning that he suffered in 2015, in 2017, similar to poisonings of Alexei Navalny, although of probably less grave nature. His health, Vladimir's health, has taken a turn for the worse since he was incarcerated a little over a year ago. We just pray for his health and well-being. We've seen footage from his sentencing yesterday. He seems to be in good moral spirits, but of course, Russian prison is not a walk in the park, and it's quite harsh conditions for him as well as for Alexei Navalny.
Yeah, and as you'd expect, widespread Western criticism and condemnation of that sentencing, but particular interest from us here in the UK because of his British citizenship. And the Foreign Office Minister, Andrew Mitchell, yesterday saying that they were looking into sanctioning every single person involved in that trial. And indeed, the Russian ambassador here in London was summoned to the Foreign Office. Is that likely to make any difference, do you think?
We don't know. I think British government has to act in accordance with its values, and sanctioning people who are involved in unlawful persecution of a British citizen and in human rights abuse is just makes sense.
And just lastly, before we let you go, let us know, how's Alexei Navalny doing? I presume, he's not in a good state, but I mean, how grave is his condition?
As an ambulance was summoned to the prison where he's held last weekend. He complained of stomach pain. He has lost some 8 kilos over the last few weeks. So it's not very good. Given history of his assassination by Novichok agent in 2020, we suspect possible foul play on behalf of Russian authorities. At the same time, we've seen some footage from him yesterday, and he made a powerful statement in support of Mr. Kara-Murza. So I think his moral spirits are quite high, but his health is really a matter of grave concern for everybody.